Hello everyone, and welcome back to my continued discussion on the 100 Girlfriends Who Really Love You manga and anime series. This is going to be video 2. It's going to be a slightly less organized video. This is a lot more off-the-cuff discussion, but this is just going to be a simple ranking of the girlfriends episode. I was originally planning to do this at the end of my 4 episodes, as I thought it was just going to be fun to end on a fun note, but the essay video that I'm working on, that 2-parter that I mentioned, is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. Plus, I got really busy. So I decided I wanted to at least get 2 of them out in the month of February, and here we are at the very end. So we're just going to do the tier list video. So it won't be as involved as my previous one or as involved as the next one. But this is going to be just a fun, simple discussion. So I'm going to go through each girlfriend and talk about like my likes, my dislikes about them, and why I think so. So heavy spoilers ahead. I'm going to be talking pretty much all about their introductions, any kind of like solo chapters they get, and anything that I just feel like needs to be brought up about why I either like or dislike a character. So let's get started. And I'm going to go through them in introduction order. So actually we should start with the Chad himself. I actually made a Chad column up here just for him because he's just the biggest Chad ever. So he can stay up there in his own little queue up there. But anyway, so let's get with technically the first one. It's always interesting that Hikari is treated as number 1 and Karane is always treated as number 2, even though they were technically both at the same time. But whenever you see like in the anime or the manga, when they list everyone in order, she's always first. And I never figured out why. I think it just kind of just happened that way, and the author just kept it. So technically, let's go with Karane, or not Karane. I wanted to go to Karane, I much prefer, but we'll start with Hikari. Hikari, and I'm probably going to be moving these around as I remember stuff, because it's 100 and we just got 166, I think, the other day. I should mention that as of the recording of this chapter, or not the recording of this episode, the latest chapter I think was 166. It was the 3rd installment of the baby chapters, where everyone, the latest like last 10 girlfriends got turned into babies. And apparently we're on break right now, and I don't know if it's been confirmed, but I saw some comments saying that apparently when we're back from break in 2 weeks, we're gonna get girlfriend 28, which means this video is going to be outdated in less than 2 weeks, which sucks for me, but I wanted to get this video out. And plus, even if I did wait until 28 got introduced, it'd be hard to rank her because it's hard to judge someone just based off like the first introductory chapter. I would just probably just stick her down like in C&D. And that's one thing you'll notice probably as we go forward, is a lot of the older ones will probably rank higher and a lot of the newer ones will probably rank a little lower, just because the time dedicated. What I realize is a lot of girlfriends get a lot of good character development in solo chapters, which makes sense. You get a whole chapter of them either being by themselves with Rentaro, or even themselves with some other girlfriends, and you get a lot of character development, which is good. And it's a very strong point of this series, is when we do get a character off on their own, or at least alone with Rentaro, we get a lot more of them outside of the quick gags of when everyone's together. So anyway, so let's get back to where I think that's all I wanted to say. That was the other part of the introduction. Anyway, so we're starting with Hikari. I pretty mid on Hikari, all things considered. I don't know if I want to. I should have made like an actual like mid section. B and C is kind of making it weird, but let's just put her in B for now. She's just fun, and I think it's kind of interesting that the quote unquote first girlfriend is so like the most mid out of a lot of them, and this is just kind of like the Flanderization of it all. She kind of just has the one thing going for her, and that the fact that she's just horny. That's really all she has going for her character-wise. Yeah, she did get a bit in the very early of the manga where she had that whole arc which introduced her mom and all that, so she does have that going for her, but after that, she just kind of got relegated to just being, yeah, I'm kind of the horny one, and that's just about it. I'll bring her up in a couple other conversations with some other characters, but we got to get to easily one of the best girls, Karane. She's easily like a top 3 for me. She's also probably one of the most complex characters, and I think the author has a soft spot for Karane as a character because she's got, I think, 3 solo chapters. I'm trying to think. So there's the one that we talked about in the last video, the Tsundere Lost trilogy of chapters, which focused on her. she was kind of the main focus on the marriage trilogy. At least it started with her. Like, it started on a solo chapter with her, and then it kind of devolved into everyone else. But she initiated that. And then it's like, you could have made any girl be the initiator of the marriage trilogy, but you made it Karane. And there was one other one. I thought I had at least 3 examples. Maybe I'll remember it. I have to, like I said, I have to remember everything off the cuff. Editor me, if you remember as you're editing this, put it in here if there's like a third Karane focused story. But what I wanted to say is that Karane's character is like so in tune with the writer. Some of the just like one-off jokes that they have for Karane is just so good. Maybe because it's my sense of humor, but it's some of my favorites. Like, easily one of my favorites was during Akko's introduction chapter, where she just slams the desk because Hikari said, "Oh yeah, we had a spare stall just in case Karane broke one." And I don't know, it's just like off gags like that are just so funny to me. And it's like, when a character joke, when a joke is so in tune with a character, that's my favorite. Like, you have a character that's so well written to the point where you can make this very specific joke and it's only going to work for this character. That's when I feel like you have a well-written character, and Karane embodies that. And something I've just recently noticed with Karane is she has this underlying trait that she has looks like a very strong desire to be a mom someday, which is very interesting in contrast to Hikari, because Hikari also mentions quite often about like wanting kids with Rentaro, but it's like 2 sides of a different coin. Hikari sees kids, like having a lot of kids, as like sex trophies. Like, oh yeah, we did a lot of banging. Like, she said that plainly in the first baby chapter, saying, oh, look at all these babies we have. It's like almost like we had a lot of hot and wild sex. Whilst Karane has had multiple times throughout the manga where she has like expressed a desire to be a mom someday, which I think is just kind of funny that the first 2 girlfriends have like similar wants and from the relationship, but they're 2 completely different things. And I just find the sweetness of Karane's desire to be a mom just so much more interesting than the hot and heavy, it's like, let's bang Hikari. But yeah, I love Karane. She's great. Moving on to Shizuka. Where is Shizuka? Aha, precious princess herself, Shizuka. And obviously, not everyone's going to be like a single row. They're all going to stack up here eventually, and then I'll shuffle them around if I feel like they're a little bit higher in the same category. But Shizuka's amazing. Shizuka is also, I think, an author favorite because she also has gotten multiple solo chapters after her introduction. Like, she got the one where she got to meet her favorite author, and then she got the one where we had to deal with her mom, and which was like the most serious of all the chapters so far, like the most dramatic, which is also a really good chapter, and it's also a really good Nano chapter, which we'll get to when we get talked about Nano. But yeah, Shizuka's amazing. She is like the epitome of, I'm a Disney princess, Rentaro's my Prince Charming. And I think my favorite funny thing regarding Shizuka is when she started using her text-to-speech app, she was very like prim and proper in a way, like it was very straight-laced. But as the series went on, she introduced a lot of slang in her vocabulary, which I think is just so funny to think about in someone using like a robotic AI text-to-speech voice. It's like, it's just so funny to me, and I always look at her kind of like as an annoyed older brother, like, Shizuka, where did you pick that up? Where did you pick that language up? And I don't know, it's just so funny. And Shizuka's like constant running gag of being like the smallest and frailest of the entire group, and she's constantly being blown away by the wind. I don't know, there's just levels to Shizuka's character that I just absolutely love. Once again, it just feels like this character has gotten to a point like Karane that there's so many levels to her and you can make so many different jokes with her. So that's great. And then moving on to Nano. A lot of people love Nano. I love Nano. She was definitely my number 1 for a while. But she's kind of fallen in terms of what she actually does. Like, she still gets some good jokes every once in a while. And she still has the fun personality, but she hasn't gotten to the level that Shizuka and Karane have. But she's gotten some amazing solo chapters, like the one where she shrank. That was an excellent Nano-focused chapter. Oh no, I was thinking of Utsuki Shizuki for that one. Never mind. I'll get to her when I get to her. But Nano, I think my favorite thing with Nano is whenever she actually breaks character. Like, she's usually so, like, flat face, like, no emotion showing, but there is a few times within the manga that she actually does show emotion, and it's usually distress in some kind of way. It's never really happy. I mean, there is that time she was like, I don't even know how to describe that feeling. I'll show it on screen, but even then, she was still kept her composure. Then there's just a few times in the manga, and I'll show them on screen, that she did break her composure, and I don't know why that's always so funny to me. Break a character's most known trait, and it's always a good time. But yeah, I love Nato, and I'm not gonna say much more. So moving on to Kasuri. Kasuri has definitely been, I don't know if flanderized is the right word, but she started off really strong, but she's kind of just been relegated to, hey, we need something weird to happen, let's just cause Kasuri to have it happen. And she's got like almost no character development beyond that. The closest we got was when Rentaro and Kishka took Yaku to the amusement park, and she got like really jealous about it because she's like really like attached to her grandmother. So that was kind of interesting. Got to see like a somewhat different side to it. But besides that, once we got past, there was that like whole dramatic thing about her trying to apply to like a drug testing facility in America, and she had to like scrap her submission to save everyone during the whole mother chapter, or the mother arc. But the character never progressed with her own like wants and dreams beyond that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a bummer that she's gotten such little character development. She's actually never, I don't think she's had a solo chapter in any kind of way. She's always been a supporting character. So maybe we should knock her down for that. Like, she hasn't had any, at least Akari had like 1 or 2 solo chapters, or at least I can think of a group chapter. Oh yeah, she did have that one. Once again, her one solo chapter is just her being more horny. So yeah, I think I could put Kasuri. As fun as she is, and she does get a lot of good jabs in, she's definitely one of the characters who works best in the group scenario just because of the off-the-cuff stuff she says. And we haven't seen her true form, like her 18-year-old form, in so long, actually. And they constantly reference that too. Whenever she does make an appearance, they always say, oh yeah, it's been quite a while since I've done this, hasn't it? So going next, so the end of the anime characters, Hahari. Funny enough, I actually am going to put Hahari above Hikari, which I think might anger some people, but Hahari, as much as she's just a more over-the-top version of Hikari, she actually does have some levels to her that I don't think Hikari has gotten to yet. Specifically, I'm going to say this a lot, her solo chapter did a lot for her. The solo chapter where she and Rentaro went to like this bear, like baby bear museum based off like some old cartoon she used to watch or something like that. And that gave like a nice depth to her character. And I don't know, it's the whole like overdoting mother cliche jokes that, I don't know, they work for me. And I just feel like that combined with the little bit of depth that she gets every once in a while, it makes her a more interesting character than Hikari herself. Alright, so moving out of the anime-only characters to the first manga, which is Kurumi. I love Kurumi. Don't think she is quite up in the S territory yet of major, as like a complex character, but she's definitely above the more one-joke characters like we have right here. She does have some depth to her in a not recent chapter, but we kind of saw in comparison to like Karane and Mai, like that she is kind of tsundere-esque, but not to the other level of degrees. And so that's fun, and the constant food jokes with her is always a good time. But she hasn't really developed outside of the... Yeah, she even got that solo chapter that I talked about in the previous video, that I Want to Eat Your Beef Tongue, which was a fun chapter, and it was nice to have her in the spotlight for a little bit, but it didn't really develop her character in any kind of way. It didn't give us any more depth to her character. So, the best of Karane just comes from the fact that she's a straight man along with Karane, so she's always calling out the bullshit that the other characters do, and that's always a good time. So moving up from Kurumi, hold on, I know I could do this. I just made a whole video about these 4 or 5, so I should know who's next after Kurumi. Oh yeah, Iku. Duh. I love Iku. There's Iku. I'm also gonna put her in A. Might even be high B's, maybe low A's. But once again, she's not as deep as these other characters, but she's definitely higher. She's definitely higher than the one jokes. I'll give her that much. But it's like her introductory episode with the baseball game was like the most we got out of her. Everything after that has just been kind of just, yeah, I'm the funny masochist who likes pain. Like, even the few times that we saw her, like, in group settings, I mean, that's where she works best, is within a group setting, because her quirk works off of other characters so well instead of just being standalone. We did have a solo chapter with her, but... Oh, I forgot the tomboyish girlfriend chapter with, like, the batting cage and all that. Okay. Maybe. She's not high enough for S, but... she might be a higher A than I thought. Okay. Alright, so it was Iku, that is Utsugi number 10. I have to probably put her in A as well. She does have some depth to her. This might be personal bias talking, but some like solo chapters or like group chapters of smaller groups that have Utsugi in her. Wow, I'm stumbling all over the words. That last name is a killer. Are just some of my personal favorites. Like the one where she is the lead in a play. That is probably like a top 5 chapter for me. Yeah, I think she might have to be the top of the A's. I also love her like budding like crush on Nano. That is hilarious. It's like, speaking of budding crushes, that can move us on over to Mei, to where... Oh, yeah, that feels about right. Because once again, she is a one joke character, but man, was her solo chapter like really good. So, and it did give a little bit to her, but it didn't dive much into her character. But I love this like almost love triangle that between Nano, Utsugi, and Mei's going on. Like, Utsugi, it's not even really a triangle, it's a weird line. It's like Utsugi gets like nervous around Nano and has like a weird crush on her, maybe has like a weird crush on Utsugi. This like constant line of like infatuation is just funny to me. But yeah, Mei like has that one really good solo chapter, but that's all she's had, and besides that, she's just been kind of a background character. I'm trying to think of, like, where does this whole list lie? Where do these even lie? I got a couple in mind that'll probably fall down here, but I think a lot of characters are going to be in this area. So moving on from Mei. So that was the end of the Season 2 girlfriend, so moving on to the Season 3. Oh, Chio. Yep, I was just about to say, I know who's going to be down here. It's Chio. I am not a fan of Chio. If we're talking about characters who have been relegated to the background, who don't get a whole lot of screen time, Chio's one of them. Like... she's done nothing outside of her introduction chapter. Then, I mean, she is the reason why one of my favorite, like, comedy chapters happened, where she banned kissing at school, and then all the characters went into a kissing withdrawal. That was hilarious, and I reread that chapter every once in a while just for a laugh. But outside of that, she has contributed nothing. She's even got a solo chapter that I tried to dive into her a little bit, but... it did nothing for me. I want to hear Chio defenders, like, if you have anything to say. Like, why do you like this character so much? I mean, there's also possibility there's that ick factor. Because, spoiler alerts, I did say there were going to be spoilers in here. But also being cousins, not even, like, distant cousins, but, like, direct cousin. Like, her father is just his uncle. Like, that's it. So there is that ick factor. I don't know if that has much to do with it, but I think it might. But she's just been an unfunny character. Like, all she does is when something is like out of line or breaking a rule or something, she just kind of growls, and that's all her character is. So yeah, she's down here. She might even be down here. I don't know if I want to throw anyone at F yet. I know one character who's gonna be an F. I'll have to see how the rest line up. Anyway, so moving on, Ms. Natty. She's somewhere around here, I think. I might put her at the bottom of A. She might fall down as A gets bigger, she might keep down there. But Ms. Natty's a lot of fun. In terms of, it's weird to call her an adult character because she doesn't act like it at all. She just feels like just an older senior. But her solo chapter did a lot for in terms of making this feel, I want to say authentic. Like, I never thought that anyone's been faking it, but I don't know, something with her just didn't feel like it clicked a lot. But then the solo chapter where they go on their solo date did help. She has probably one of the most depressing backstories of all the girlfriends, which that was also really well done. But her over-the-topness is just a bit much sometimes. And that's, outside of her introduction, that's kind of all she has. I will say she has one of my favorite lines. It's like, oh no, my English is fuck you English. It's like, I don't know why, but I quote that every once in a while. It's like, no, my English is fuck you English. But yeah, she's just fun, but she doesn't have much depth to her. But I guess because of her backstory, she at least has more depth than these guys. Yeah, we'll have to see. And then following Miss Night, I believe it's Yamame. Believe so. Hold on, where's my phone? It's like I can get up to about 13 by memory, and then I kind of forget everyone's order. Hold on, let me grab my phone. Oh, I can just pull. I'm on a computer. Why can't I just do that? Nadeshiko Yamato. Yeah, Yamame. Okay, I was right. So Yamame is just, yeah, she kind of fell to the background. And I will say this, I'm going to put up a couple pictures of Yamame. Every time I see her, I think this is just Hick Pyra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. She is just, that's all I see when I see her. So it's not so much in this picture, but a lot of other pictures, like if Pyra was just a country hick gal who loves tending the fields and is just taller than most other people, that's Yamame. I mean, she's sweet and all, but she has very little character. She got a solo chapter that didn't do a whole lot. And yeah, she just kind of, she got relegated to her one joke of just, whenever someone gets insulted, she just kind of says, that blank, what fill in the blank, is a living thing too. And yeah, that's all her character really is now. It's like, we need something to give Yamame to make her a little bit more standout, but I don't think she's as bad as Chiyo yet. She's not like, I don't want to say unfitting, but it's hard to say. I'll think of maybe a word later. Momiji, once again, she just kind of relegated to a joke that she just loves to fondle everything. It's sometimes funny, so maybe that's at least better than these two. Yeah, she has like no depth, so at least these guys have a little bit of depth to them. We need a solo chapter of Momiji, which we kind of did with Kurumi. They got like a solo chapter together of them just gonna go eat something, but it didn't really do much for either character. It was kind of a what chapter, like a whatever chapter. But yeah, she's, you know what's funny is, in a lot of chapters where the chapter usually ends on like all the girls swooning or like just showing they're like madly in love with Rentaro, Momiji always has this straight face. And I know that's kind of like her shtick, is that she has this straight face, kind of like Nano. But even Nano will show like her affectionate side during like those like blushing moments. Momiji, not really. So it just, and that was always off-putting to me, and I don't know why. It almost makes me feel like the love isn't genuine, and it doesn't help that there hasn't been like really any good interactions between her and Rentaro since the introduction. Like, I had to go reread her introductory chapter one night just to feel like, do they actually have something here? Like, how did they bond? And it's just, yeah. You know what? At least Kasumi has shown affection. Yamame too. Yeah, let's put it down here. All right. And then I believe it's Yako after that. Yeah, Yako, Kichika. Okay. Yako, yeah, this is another one where I just, once again, it almost kind of like Momiji. I almost feel like there is no connection between her and Rentaro. Like, there is no like, you can feel. So here's my judgment that I say a lot of the time. Whenever I see Rentaro with one of the girls by themselves, it feels like, yeah, this feels like a natural couple that if this was any other manga, this would be a natural couple, especially with characters like Karane, Shizuka, and Nano. They feel really good with Rentaro by themselves. And I can say that for a lot of them, for the most part. Yaku, no. Momiji, no. Maybe even Chio, I guess, maybe. But specifically these two, I never have that feeling. And once again, the Yaku thing could also be an ick factor because she is an 87-year-old woman who is transformed into an 8-year-old, and her running joke is that she's old. She doesn't understand a lot of words, like newer words. She hates she's scared of technology. Just a lot of typical old people gags, and it does nothing. Like the closest they got was the solo chapter they gave her. And that was like the only time I ever really saw some real affection between the two. And maybe that's at least better than Chio, but there. I don't know. At least Chio gave me like one of my favorite gag chapters. Also, I'll put her there. Anyway, it looks like the rest might actually be in girlfriend order. Oh, thank you. Thank you, tier maker. Kishka, top tier. This might be personal bias. Kishka does... Okay. Yeah, maybe she's just top of the A's. Because these three have, like, character depth. Whereas these have character depth, but not as much. Kishka just might be because of... I think if I were to name just, like, my favorite girlfriend, who I'm always excited to see more of, it's Kishka. I love her running gag. I love her character. I love her connection with Rentaro, especially one of the newer chapters. I think it was the one 2 weeks ago. She had a solo chapter, which was really fun, which dived a bit more into it. Into her as a character, their relationship. It was all great. It was a really good chapter. Also very funny, too. It had probably one of the best payoff jokes in a while. But she doesn't have that much depth, at least I feel like these three do. But yeah, she's definitely top of the A's. Like, she has more, at least depth than I think these at least do. Yeah, sounds about right. I'm not going to let personal bias out. I'm just going to, like, state the facts of just, like, what we have seen in the manga. Akko, same thing. Like, she's not as deep, but a recent solo chapter really pushed her up. Is it better than Utsugushi Sugi, though? This is where it's going to get... This is going to start getting tight here. Akko, though... Like I said, that recent solo chapter for her was really good. And just making you feel... like she has a character. She actually might have more character. She's actually gotten like 2 solo chapters in a way. Because she had one with Karane, which was like really fun. Yeah, she does have a lot of character. She actually might be the bottom of the S's. Just in terms of like having some depth as a character. She got an extensive background story. Yeah, that actually feels right. She might be the bottom of the S's. Yeah, okay. Uto, yeah, sorry. Once again, this also feels like the connection with Rentaro doesn't feel that genuine. Maybe at least better than Momiji. Yeah, I guess so. Maybe I might... This one's gonna also be real tough. Like, this section's real tough, and this one's gonna also be real tough. I also have the problem with Uto that I keep forgetting she's a girl. It's like, instead of like just a feminine guy, she comes off as a guy so often to me. Like, I have to remind myself, oh yeah, I have a lot of voices for each character in my head as I read, and whenever I hear Uto's, it defaults to like a very light, high-pitched guy's voice, like almost a gay guy. No, not a gay guy, but I don't know. It's hard to describe without... If I can find a clip of what I refer to, I'll put it here. But I have to constantly remind myself, like, no, this is a girl. It's not Rentaro and his 26 girlfriends and 1 boyfriend. It's like, no, it's 27 girlfriends. That's so insulting to Uto. I'm sorry to any Uto fans out there. But yeah, it's not a whole lot. And once again, a big thing is the whole... It doesn't feel like there's a strong connection between these two outside of the introductory chapter. Anyway, Mai. Oh, I completely skipped May. Oh, god damn it. Okay. Well, let's do May before we do Mai. May... I haven't put anyone in B in a while. I think she actually might be in the Bs. She actually might have a little bit more character depth than these two. No. Because once again, it feels forced, her relationship with Rentaro. It never feels that natural. So maybe at least a little bit better than the C's. But definitely not much better than these guys. Yeah, May's, that feels about right. I mean, she does have some nice backstory, but it plays such a little part of her character after it's been told. It's never really brought up again. Now, if they ever get to a serious chapter again and they introduce, like, her parents and find out why she was abandoned, or what... Well, I mean, they did explain why, but to expand upon it, that might be interesting. That could, like, really elevate her character. But as she is now... Yeah... I mean, her dog gimmick where she kind of just goes into dog mode is still pretty funny. Doesn't happen very often, which I think helps. But yeah, I think this feels about right. It's kind of funny, all the Hanazono household women are all together. Mai, though, is, yeah, she's somewhere like down here. Yeah. My problem with Mai is... she's constantly fighting her affection, and once again, this is also falling under... they don't feel very strong together. It also doesn't help that they haven't focused on her in a bit. She kind of just pops up every once in a while. Granted, the last 2 chapters have featured her doing stuff that makes her feel like, okay, maybe she does have some actual feelings towards Rentaro. Which I know the whole point of the show is they actually do all have, like, actual feelings, but there are clearly some that are more than others. And it's kind of funny. She's gotten this recent development where she's kind of like in a Tomei, like fangirl. Like we've met her reading. Actually, you know what? My favorite interaction of her wasn't even with Rentaro. It was when she ran into Shizuka at the bookstore. Like that was like the best development she's ever had. But the little mini chapter where she went to the place with Rentaro and Iku and Uto, and they all tried on like school uniforms. It's like that was kind of fun, and yeah, we've kind of gotten this weird Otome side to her. But yeah, it's very hard feeling convinced between these two. But it feels at least like the few moments we have gotten out of her, where once again she falls under like the tsundere category, kind of like Karane, but she's just a lot worse at expressing it. But at least a few times where she has feel like she has expressed actual interest in him, it at least feels a little bit more genuine than like Uto and Momiji and these two have. Yeah, okay. Momoha, she's just pure sex appeal. Problem is, she is just kind of a one gag character. She's drunk. That's like her whole character. Now, granted, she did have a really strong showing in a group chapter where it was only her, Nano, and May, and showed her side of being like, yeah, I'm an ethics teacher, by the way, which we kind of forget that she is, that she's an ethics teacher. But I think we need a solo chapter of some kind of like what Natty got with the drive-in. We kind of need one of those from Momoha before I can really start feeling something. Maybe she's slightly better than May. Why are all the black hairs in row B? Because yeah, at least the group chapters and solo chapters with Momo have been a little bit more character depth. Actually, you know what? That ethics thing actually might be some decent character depth. Maybe she's better than the Hanazonos. Huh. That's something to think about. Okay, I'll leave her there for now, because we haven't touched the B section quite a bit. Rin, I love Rin. She has her one gag, but it's such a good gag. It's such a unique gag. But it is just a gag, though. She hasn't really had much character development outside. I feel like if we got a solo chapter for her that tackled her violence obsession, but also dealt with like her parents, because her parents' like overprotectiveness was definitely a thing with her character. I feel like if that was ever tackled, that might be really good. But I think for right now, Actually, you know what? Let's put Mei here. Put Rin right here. Because once again, these are more for like the one joke characters, but they're good jokes. Whereas these have at least some character depth to them. Mei had that one solo chapter that to give her some character depth. I don't know as much as Ms. Natty though. Actually, you know what? Yeah. Now that I'm remembering her solo chapter where they went on their date. Yeah. Maybe even better than Kurumi. Kurumi hasn't really had that much depth. She did have that tsundere like date chapter. Maybe just kind of slow and climbing up the ranks here. Yeah, let's see what that. Okay, Sue. Yeah. Sorry. Actually, she might even be worse than Shio. I do not like Sue like at all, which is weird because she has such a fun design. Like, she's so unique and stands out against a lot of the girlfriends, but she's so annoying. She's like, just doesn't care about anything or anyone. And then suddenly we have to shove a number joke in there somewhere just to have her interact with the group. It's like, ugh. It's like, even during the wedding chapter, the proposal chapters, like, they squeeze her in there. It's like, yeah, we can't really think of anything to do, but yeah, let's have her in a wall surrounded by numbers because that's her only character trait. And she's just annoyed the rest of the time. Like, every other chapter she is mentioned in, or at least has to participate in, she's like, oh, this is dumb. I don't want to do this. Starting to think now, like, how the rest are going to shape out. Might have to put Momiji down here. She at least did have that single date, which gave a little depth to her. Okay. Wait, a little bit of depth. Yeah, this actually... Ooh, wow. Hey, look at you, Chio, climbing the ranks. Era is, like... I said Momoha was pure sex appeal. Era is also, like, pure sex appeal. Like, they tried way too hard with her, and it worked. But she has such a shallow character right now. We definitely need some kind of development on her. Yeah, bottom of B actually might be it. Because at least they have a little bit of character development. I feel bad having Kasuri so down here, but she has, like, no development. Yeah, these are like the one joke characters. Yeah. Maybe better than Mei at least. Nah. I think Era's just like right there. Like, we just need one good solo chapter for her to just like blow through a lot of these and climb the ranks. But I mean, she did kind of have a solo chapter where she went with like a lot of the younger ones and learned that, you know, it's okay to not be scared of everything. But it was barely any kind of development. Yeah, I think I'll leave her there. Alright, here we go. Here's where the F category was made for. I hate Tama. I absolutely hate Tama. She provides nothing. Like, there's no connection, so strike one there. Strike two, she's had like the worst character introduction. Worst expansion on a character, and then her one joke that she's now carrying herself with in later chapters is not even that funny. So let's just go through. Tama hasn't been around for very long, so let's go through everything she's done so far. So she has a really depressing chapter. I'm like, okay, so she has a really depressing chapter. Rentoro's gonna bring her out and make her enjoy life again. It's like, not really. All she does is complain about having to work and be a human, and then through the power of Rentoro's affection, she's be like, okay, you know what? Life is kind of worth living. I guess I'll go get a part-time job. And, like, reluctantly, I'll go get a part-time job. And so just so she can live. And, okay, she did have one good joke. And when the interviewer asked her, it's like, so why do you want to work here? It's like, no, I don't want to work here. It's like, we've all wanted to say that in job interviews. But yeah, she got the part-time job just so we can explain, like, how is she still around, how is she still alive, and all that. I mean, she did have that little bit of character development where she immediately got what she wanted, where she can just literally stop being a human and be a cat, but she felt guilty about it for some reason. I don't know. It just did not work. And then, like in the latest baby chapter, probably the best joke about her so far was only because of helped by Hahari. But I'll show the joke on screen, but it's like Hahari going, you know, it's like a baby's job to cry. And then she just stops crying because like, no, I'm not doing a job. So her whole character is that she doesn't want to work. And I mean, I feel you there. None of us do, but come on. Yeah, so Tama is just terrible. And her character design is also just confusing when you see her like out of her cat costume. Himika's a lot of fun, but we haven't seen her in a whole lot. She's been relegated to so far just a one joke character. Like she just wants to be abnormal, and then whenever something abnormal happens, she just kind of is excited about it. Which is weird because she immediately after her introduction got a chance to shine a little bit in the second part of the where they all have to be idols, but she didn't really draw on her like, yeah, I actually am a idol. It felt like we could have dived into her character a bit there, but we didn't. So it feels like a wasted opportunity. But at least she feels affectionate towards Rentaro, which I feel like is more than these two. So maybe it's definitely somewhere around here. There was definitely like Eira at least had that like really affectionate moment in her own introductory chapter. But she just feels like she's just one good solo chapter away from really climbing the ranks. Himika definitely needs one just for some character development. But yeah, she's a one joke character, but she also has very little. Actually might. Huh. This is a tough one. Because I feel like, yeah, she's a one joke character, so she's around here. But she has very little development. At least Kasuri feels like has a good relationship with Rentaro. Hasn't been around long enough to really feel it. Yamame. Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe around here is probably good. Alright, and then Matsuri. Matsuri's the latest one. No, she's not bad or anything, but she's kind of eccentric. She actually does feel like she has a decent relationship with Rentaro from the little they've had. So that's at least in the sea somewhere. I feel like even though Yamame's had a solo chapter, I feel like I need to go reread and feel like, is there actually good connections between her and Rentaro? Because there's been nothing in any of the future chapters. She's been around a while. She's like, what, 12? 13? Number 13? I feel like Matsuri's already gotten a little bit of... Actually, not even better than that. Might be something like this. Although I do kind of like how this is shaped out. It's like 1, 4, 6, 6, 6, 4, 1. It's like evenly perfect. I didn't even plan that. But this actually might how it might work out here. Alright, let's go through everyone one more time just to see if maybe I shift around a little bit. So we definitely have these, so which I'm calling basically characters who have great character like development depth to them, have multiple layers. These are like, they have some layers, but not as much. They're more than just like their one gag, which... Yeah, okay, yeah, they all have their one gag, and there's definitely a little bit more to them than those guys. Actually, Iku might... Ooh. That one solo chapter for Mei really did a lot for her. I feel like if Iko got another chapter that really expanded on her relationship with Rentaro or something, it would help. Same with like Karumi. She's just kind of, because of her one guy's actually annoying, where the others are kind of like endearing. Yeah, okay. Then we have like the one joke characters. This one's just more because the one joke is kind of unique. She actually had like a good character development with her one joke. They kind of share the one joke. She has like one joke, but the relationship doesn't... Okay, so maybe that's why Air's was a little bit better, because she did have that moment with Rentaro in her introduction that felt really good. Okay, you know what? Does she feel like she has a good relationship with Rentaro? She's a one joke. But she definitely does at least feel like she has a good relationship with Rentaro, unlike Mei, which feels kind of forced. So yeah, this is like one joke, but feels like has a good relationship with Rentaro. This is like doesn't have a good relationship with Rentaro or not enough. Like I feel like Himika and Matsuri could have good relationships with him, but they just haven't had too much screen time. You know, just because of the interactions, I might put Mai a little bit higher. Yami's just been there in the background. Oh, okay, Mei might be falling here a little bit. What has she done? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna make Mai happy and put her right next to Mei. There. Now at least they're happy together. And then these four who feel like they almost feel like they're being forced to be in a relationship with him by the author, because they have like nothing. At least Chio had that one solo chapter. These guys need some real development. And then then there's Tama. You know what? We're just gonna make this rank Tama. God damn, I hate Tama. Anyway, so yeah, that's gonna be about it. That actually went on a lot longer than I thought it would. So hopefully, girlfriend number 28, you land somewhere around here. Let's hope your only bad quality so far, kind of like Matsuri and Himika here, is that you just don't have enough screen time yet. But yeah, let me know if you guys agree or disagree in the comments below. Look forward to the big essay video where I talk about all my favorite aspects of the manga regarding characters and plot and pacing of the manga and all that, and just running gags. I love the running gags. So make sure to look forward to that. It's going to probably be a two-parter, and it's going to come out sometime in March because I had to rewrite the whole script, like I said. But yeah, happy month of love of February to all who celebrate, and I will see you guys on the next video. Have a good one.